The sun is soft in the sky, its golden light spilling across stone walls and shaded streets. The market has begun to wake, though not in a rush. There is no chaos here, not today. Instead, the rhythm is gentle, as if the city itself understands the heat will soon press down, and everyone moves in slow, careful steps. Merchants sit in front of their stalls, not shouting, not competing, but waiting. Waiting with baskets of figs and pomegranates. Waiting with folded cloth and jars of fragrant oil. The smell of dust mixes with the sweetness of fruit, with the sharper tang of fish laid out on woven mats. A donkey shakes its head and stamps the ground, and somewhere a boy laughs, running through the shadows with a bundle tucked under his arm. And as you move through this quiet market, you notice the corner. Not the center of power, not the temple steps or the tax collector's seat. Just the corner where people gather with a different kind of urgency, a different kind of hope. There, under a canopy stretched between wooden poles, sits the healer, not a priest, not a figure wrapped in ceremony, but a man with a small space, his own table, and tools that glint faintly in the filtered light. This is not the palace. This is not the grand halls of the gods. This is where the real work happens, where those who labor, those who stumble, those who suffer, come to be made whole. The tent is simple. Its cloth is worn, patched in places where the sun has eaten through. Inside, the light falls softer, stripes of brightness slipping through the gaps, casting long shadows across jars and bowls. You can almost smell it. Dried herbs crushed into powder, honey thick and golden, the faint iron scent of tools kept carefully in a bundle. A scribe sits nearby, reed pen ready, his wooden tablet balanced on his knee. He waits for words to be spoken, for treatments to be named, for remedies to be remembered. Because medicine here is not just hands and bandages, but memory, tradition, the passing of knowledge from one healer to the next. People come quietly. A man holding his side, his breath shallow. A boy with a swollen ankle limping carefully across the dirt. A woman carrying her child, the little body warm with fever, her eyes heavy with worry. They do not expect miracles. They do not expect the gods to intervene directly. They expect care. They expect attention. They expect the healer to know what to do. And he does, in his way. He reaches for jars filled with herbs, leaves dried in the sun and crumbled fine. He mixes them with honey, with milk, with wine if it can be spared. He binds wounds with linen strips torn from cloth, washed in the river, and left to dry in the heat. His hands move with practice, rhythm not hurried, not uncertain. He has done this many times before. The market sounds are still there, just beyond the canopy. The murmur of voices, the clink of pottery, the shuffle of sandals on stone. But here, inside this tent, the world feels slower, closer. Every gesture matters. Every word spoken between healer and patient is a thread that ties them together, if only for a moment. Sometimes he prays. Sometimes he whispers words meant to bring balance, to call on forces unseen. Not loudly, not for spectacle, but softly, the way a mother might hum to a child at night. Because healing is not only in the body, but in the spirit, in the belief that one is being cared for, watched over, not left alone in suffering. The people accept this. They know that honey will soothe a wound, that herbs will calm a stomach, but they also know that words have power, that ritual eases the heart. And so the healer blends them together, the practical and the spiritual, until they are inseparable. Think of the objects around him. Small clay jars sealed with mud, their contents carefully guarded, wooden splints smoothed at the edges, ready to brace a broken limb, a bronze knife, its edge sharp but not shining, dulled slightly by use, by the passage of time, bundles of linen folded neatly, waiting to wrap, to bind, to protect. And think of the faces that pass through, the farmer whose hand has been cut by his own sickle, the stonemason with dust in his lungs, coughing into the cloth at his mouth, the servant with aching joints from carrying water again and again. Each one comes to this tent, this small sanctuary in the middle of the market, and sits on the low stool while the healer works. The air is warm, heavy, but also calm. A patient sighs as herbs are pressed into a wound. Another murmurs thanks as a bandage is tied in place. The healer's movements are steady, his voice low, almost like a story being told, though the story changes with each visitor. Outside the sun climbs higher, but inside time stretches. You could sit here for hours and watch the quiet rhythm of care. One patient leaves, another arrives. The scribe scratches a few notes, then dips his pen again. The healer wipes his hands on cloth, sets one jar aside, reaches for another. There is no rush. There is only the work. And in this work, there is dignity. No grand temple walls, no golden statues. Just a man under a canopy, surrounded by jars and linen, giving what he can every day to those who come. It is humble, but it is enough. This is where medicine breathes in ancient Egypt, not in the pages of papyrus alone, not in the halls of the wealthy, but here, in the market, under a simple tent, where lives are stitched back together. One wound, one prayer, one hopeful visit at a time. The healer's day drifts on, not in hours and minutes, but in the rhythm of footsteps and voices, in the way the sun moves across the sky and paints the earth in shifting gold. Each visitor carries a story in their body, and the tent gathers these stories quietly, like a vessel filling drop by drop. A woman comes with her child, the boy's forehead burning with heat. She kneels, eyes full of fear, hands trembling as she smooths his hair. The healer touches the boy's skin, nods once, and begins. He crushes dried willow bark, mixes it with honey, and whispers words that drift like smoke, soothing the mother as much as the child. The boy's eyes flutter closed, his breathing steadier. The mother exhales, a relief heavier than words. Soon after, an old man shuffles in, leaning on a stick. His joints ache, his steps uncertain. He does not expect a cure, but he comes for balm, for oils rubbed into his skin, for hands that remind him he is cared for. The healer warms oil in a clay bowl, fragrant with myrrh and cedar, and massages it into arms, shoulders, knees. The old man sighs, not because the pain vanishes, but because the touch itself is medicine. A young soldier arrives, his arm bound in blood-darkened cloth. He does not say how it happened. He only sits, teeth clenched, while the healer unwraps the bandage. The wound is deep, angry red. The healer cleans it with wine, pours honey over the torn flesh, and binds it in fresh linen. The soldier's jaw loosens and he mutters thanks, nearly lost in the air. And so it continues, the sick, the wounded, the weary, each with a burden, each leaving lighter, even if only with the memory of care. The scribe writes on, filling his tablet with herbs, mixtures, instructions, a quiet record that will outlast voices, market sounds, even the healer himself. His reed scratches against wood, steady, unbroken, part of the ritual. The sun presses harder now, and the tent air grows heavy with herbs and oil. Yet it feels protective, as though the very air holds the weight of healing done here. Sometimes, between patients, the healer leans back, eyes closed. Beyond the canopy, the cry of a seller with figs, the clatter of a jar, children's laughter, Life flows in noise and movement, but here, inside, it slows. It softens. Medicine here is not only remedies. It is presence. A reminder that pain is not endured alone, even if the cure is not perfect. By sunset, the tent has seen many faces. The soldier, arm bound, walking straighter. The old man, slower but lighter. Each leaves behind an echo. The healer wipes his tools. The scribe sets down his pen. Night falls. The work pauses but never ends. Medicine continues. Quiet, patient, human. So if you felt this, like and subscribe.